Welcome back, Boston sports fans, to another episode of Average Boston Sports. I'm Brian. We got Anthony back again for another episode. We're pushing through it, guys. We're really pushing through it because making these episodes for one of the first like horrible Patriots teams we've ever had to watch. It's really hard. Like, I wish that I was, going into my 20s like my dad was. Watching the early 90s Patriots finally, put something together. You got Drew Bledsoe taking you to a Super Bowl against Brett Favre. There's more excitement building in New England, and all of a sudden Mr. TB12 comes in, wins you 6 Super Bowls, and saves the entire Patsy franchise. Because for a while, this team was known with the likes of the Browns, the Arizona Cardinals, the teams that just never could put anything good together, and even when we got to a Super Bowl in '85, blown out. So it's really hard to make these episodes when we're losing 34-0, 38-3. It's just embarrassing to be a Patriots fan right now. Anthony, I want to know exactly where your head's at, because obviously you could tell my head's in the gutter right now.
Well, I mean, rightfully so. And I know we were texting this weekend, we were saying, out of the past 20 years, we've somehow picked the worst 4 weeks probably to start a podcast ever.
I don't want anybody saying that we're bad luck charms or anything, because we're doing this for the people, the true fans that really want this Patriots team to do well, and you guys are going to stick around through the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to do the same, but God,
it is ugly.
It is ugly. What is your first major takeaway? You just watching the game as a casual fan, not analyzing it. First thoughts watching that Saints game. What was going through your head?
Well, so going after the week against the Cowboys, it seemed like the whole entire Patriots coaching staff was preaching not to turn the ball over, especially with Mac Jones because of his 3 turnovers in that game. Could have been more. And then I think it was early in the first quarter. I think it was on his 7th pass attempt of the game. Mac decides to step up in the pocket when, nothing's available to him, and forces a ball out, gets intercepted by the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, and returned for a touchdown. And it's I almost was laughing because it was exactly what they said not to do. Mac goes out and does it.
Yeah. Again, we've been preaching this since 4 weeks ago when we started this podcast. It was, can Mac manage the game to the point where it is a treat to have him as your quarterback? He is a great game manager. That is a good skill for a quarterback to have. Be able to, know where you're supposed to go with the ball, be smart with your decisions, and, if you don't have 30 touchdowns in a season, you have 20, and you have 4 or 5 picks. That's a great season for a quarterback, especially with a Bill Belichick-led defense. It's really hard to say that with pride now when we've let up a total of 36 points per game the past 2 weeks against, the Cowboys' pretty good offense. Pretty good. That's not
this week they didn't look too good.
No, I know. I know. I think the 49ers, my whole take was Cowboys were the best team in the league. 49ers took that immediately away.
Yeah.
49ers are the real deal.
Brock Purdy's him.
But, the Cowboys do lose Trayvon Diggs. They got some, injuries on the offensive line. And they're not some powerhouse offense. Same thing with New Orleans. They're not some powerhouse offense. And we're letting up 36 points per game. I don't think that a game manager quarterback can win. I don't think Mac Jones could win. I don't think that Kirk Cousins could come in and win. A great top 10 quarterback could not come into this offense and do anything. If your defense is allowing that many points and our offense just looks like it's a junior league football game and we're just running wide receiver screens to wide receivers who can't run, and we're handing the ball off in the inside, and our guards can't get any holes created. We can't get our pulls are hideous. Trent Brown trying to pull is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen in my life. He is too big to be doing all that.
He also, I just don't, week to week, I'm not sure if he cares. Coming in, sometimes just I don't think he wants to play.
Who cares on this team? Who actually likes football on this team? Because usually the Patriots have guys who like playing football. They don't care about anything else. You bring in a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster, who has had a history of being invested in TikTok, and follow us on TikTok, Average Boston, but invested in TikTok, invested in being in the FaZe clan, invested in being like a streamer, which is okay.
Yeah.
I want people to do whatever they want to do.
You
with
gotta
their
have
life.
hobbies outside of your life.
You gotta have hobbies outside of football.
Yeah.
Like, I hate the fans that are like, why isn't he in the facility and learning the offense? Why is he on the video game?
Working out.
Why aren't you working? Like, why aren't you like you tire salesman? Why aren't you selling tires when you go home? Like, why aren't you fucking researching about the latest new tires that can be sold? Like, no, nobody does that. Nobody is 24/7 in their job, and if you are, you're insane.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't expect that, but I want guys who are in here. I want guys to be in here that love football. That's all I ask. I want people, no matter what our record is, what the score in the game is, I want them to try. And it has been horrendous to watch this team.
And, you know, we talk about trying, and it's like, coming off of that Cowboys game, you would think that any NFL team would be out looking to prove that, you know, like, that's not us.
No.
Like, we're better than that.
Yeah.
To then put up 0 points the following week, the Patriots have not reached the red zone since the Jets game.
Mm-hmm.
That is so terrible.
Yeah. And
Bill O'Brien, you know, last year Patriots, worst red zone team in the league. So Bill O'Brien was like, we're just not going to get to the red zone this year.
you can think of it like this. The Patriots have not reached the red zone since he grabbed Sauce Gardner's nutsack and almost made him stop him from having children.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Sauce Gardner put a little curse on our offense, because ever since that moment, it's looked like, one, the players really don't have Mac's back. That whole scrum, Mac Jones clearly gets pushed way after the whistle. It's not like the players saw what he did in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
No one came to help him. No one came to shove Sauce Gardner. I bet you if David Andrews had saw that, I feel like he would have protected Mac. Nobody else on this team gives a crap about
Go
Mac.
back to his rookie year. There's a play in LA against the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a play is blown dead in the red zone. Mac drops back and gets absolutely crushed. And the offensive line, I'm not sure who it was on the Chargers that did it, but he got, like, they were up in his face. Like, you could tell at the time the offense cared about Mac Jones.
That was their guy. They had a whole season of bummy Cam Newton who couldn't throw the ball more than 5 yards down the field. You get this guy, Heisman finalist, national champion, led an undefeated Alabama team, and they blew everybody out of the water. And the question coming out of college was, can Mac play in a system that doesn't, create wide open receivers every single time? Can he decipher a defense quickly enough? These were the traits that brought him into the first round, because if you look at his physical traits, that is not a first-round quarterback.
No.
What made the Patriots draft him in the first round? His ability to process defenses, his ability to
make the right read.
And because he doesn't have a lot of zip on the ball, he needs to be accurate. And so the accuracy was supposedly a positive aspect.
And none of that stuff is there anymore.
None of that is there. I truly believe, one, Mac Jones is gone after this year. This is over. We've decided that Mac Jones is not our quarterback. Whether we draft one, whether we get a veteran guy like Kirk Cousins, whether we do that, that could happen. But one thing is for sure, Mac Jones will not be back here next year, and
he's broken.
He's broken.
He cannot.
New England.
Maybe he can go somewhere else and have some success.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
yeah,
he cannot. It's over here.
I think he goes to, if say, obviously this didn't happen, but say this year Brock Purdy comes back from that Tommy John LCL tear in his elbow, and he doesn't look the same. 49ers would probably give us a second or third round pick for Mac Jones. That didn't happen, but there's got to be other teams out there that are looking for either to give him a chance. Maybe he's a bridge quarterback for the next guy that someone else wants. But here in New England, absolutely not happening. His fifth-year option definitely not getting picked up. And it's decision-making time in New England. Are we going to sell at the deadline? Are we going to try to improve this mediocre roster?
Let me ask you this. I know Bill Belichick already came out and told us his decision, but going into next week, if you were the head coach of the Patriots, would you start Mac Jones?
Okay, so I'm 50-50 on this right now. So Belichick comes out and he, says Mac's our guy. Mac's going to start next week. And I've been begging for him to do that. Last year, when the whole Zappy situation was happening,
you got to commit to something.
You got to commit to somebody. You can't do this thing that the college's coaches are doing where it's like, we'll play one in the first half, one in the next half. No, that doesn't work in the NFL because egos are way too big. Defenses are
You can't create a rhythm.
No, you can't create a rhythm. You expect a guy to go out there and you're telling him basically, don't fuck up. Here's your spot. You're gonna get 5 or 6 drives. Don't fuck up, or else we're pulling you out. That's what he had to do with all last year. Now you come in here and you create a horrible team around him, expecting him to manage a game with a roster that can't be manageable. And yeah, so do I think that the Patriots should start Mac Jones next week? I think that there's some pros and cons to that. Pros, I think we need to find out what Mac really is for a full season. And I know that the first year, his rookie year, he made the Pro Bowl, and that whole, that's the dumbest thing.
That was the fakest Pro Bowl.
Fakest Pro Bowl. That's like a Mitch Trubisky Pro Bowl, basically. Yeah. That's what it's looking like right now.
It was like, oh, no one else can go. I guess we'll just take Mac Jones.
Exactly. And so he wasn't a Pro Bowler, and we needed to see improvement from that rookie year. He has regressed. I think that Will Grier is the only guy I want to give an option to. Bailey Zappi had some wide open receivers at the end of that Saints game and looked horrible. There was a wide open pass to Hunter Henry that could have been a touchdown. And
I said at the time, I told my dad, I said, Bailey Zappi completes that pass to Hunter Henry and he's gone. He starts this week.
Yes, 100%. And that's horrible. Mm-hmm. That's a horrible way to look at it because Mac Jones couldn't get anything going in that game. Bailey Zappi couldn't get anything going in that game. I think you go into this week and you say, okay, you three guys, you guys are all going to get starting reps. Whoever is the best quarterback, I don't care where you were drafted, where we got you. That's what Belichick is known for, not putting the highest draft picks and the highest accoladed guys on the field. He's putting the best players on the field. And right now, Mac Jones, I really hope he's not our best quarterback. I really hope because you look at a team like the Seahawks. Nobody expected them to be good last year.
No.
Geno Smith. Anybody expect Geno Smith to have a comeback player of the year?
The last time we saw Geno Smith, he was like throwing up on himself in New York.
He looked horrible. He looked worse than Mac Jones has ever looked.
Yeah.
And now he's in Seattle and with an offense that fits him, with a coach that believes in him.
He's a top 10 quarterback.
He's a top 10 quarterback right now. I would die to have Geno Smith in New England.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I see as potential for Will Grier. Because Will Grier looked amazing in the preseason. And yeah, we're 1-4 right now. Who cares? Throw the guy in, let him see what he can do, but also, would you want the Patriots to start winning games right now? Would you want them to start Mac, lose some games, get a high draft pick, be available for a quarterback, and hopefully not put that in the hands of Belichick to draft, and, just say whatever, the season's over? Or would you rather be a mediocre team again, get a 15th, 16th pick in the draft, and, just take another guard in the first round?
Let me say, it's, if you put Will Grier in and he plays well and he wins,
it's a cheap contract.
It's a cheap contract, and then you know that you have something. So then it's like, all right, we're not at the top of the draft, but we can just draft skill position guys. We can go out and sign, at least you know you have someone at that position, where if you leave Mac in and he struggles, then we're going up anyway. And you're going to take a quarterback. But, in my opinion, I think you look across the league. When an NFL team puts up 3 points in 2 weeks and they're sitting at 1-4, one of 3 things usually happens. The head coach gets fired, the offensive coordinator gets fired, or the quarterback gets benched. One of those 3 things usually happens.
Yeah.
We know that Robert Kraft's not going to fire Bill Belichick in the season. I would be shocked if Bill O'Brien was fired.
He just moved his entire family from Alabama to New England. There's no way that we do him like that. That would be horrible. I would genuinely, have a hatred towards Robert Kraft if he did that to Bill O'Brien. I hate the offense he's running right now, but you cannot
No.
move that guy's entire family, and then 4 weeks later be like, nah, we don't really need you.
But then the third,
yeah,
bench the quarterback.
that's what I think we need to do. Yeah,
You can't, and it's just incredible to me that Bill Belichick's like, we're just gonna roll it out again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're averaging 1.5 points in over two games span, they are averaging 10 points per game on the season. You know who the low? I had to look it up because we're approaching it.
Yeah,
but
I know.
1977, the Creamsicle Buccaneers, 7 points per game.
is the lowest.
It's the lowest of all time.
And we're at 10.
We're at 10 at the moment.
Are we not like the worst scoring team in the league right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
We are the worst passing team. We are the worst rushing team, and we are the worst scoring team.
And like,
There is no part of that offense that is good. So,
there's nothing to look at it and be like, oh, that's a bright spot.
No.
I've never had that before.
Joe Cardona still can't snap.
He still can't snap. Bro, you are getting paid millions of dollars to learn how to snap a ball accurately through your legs without getting hit to a punter. And that's all you gotta do. I don't care if you don't even make a tackle down the field. Just snap the ball good. Just give us a chance. And also, I'd like to point out the fact that the Saints kicker that they drafted after...
Oh, he was undrafted.
Oh, undrafted. Yeah,
Yes.
the undrafted kicker is actually making his kicks.
And, one thing that is really aggravating me right now, someone actually brought it up on Felger and Maz, the caller, and I thought it was a great point. It seemed like there was all this talk about, the Patriots are going to be better on special teams this year because they were 32nd in the league. They're 32nd in the league again this year. Remember when the Patriots went out and committed real money to Matthew Slater? They signed Chris Board from the Lions.
Yeah,
like
that was
your
his
special team.
That was like, he signed Board immediately as free agent start. He wanted Board.
He got almost $10 million
Mhm.
for a special teamer. You draft the punter. You draft the kicker. Punting was awful yesterday or on Sunday. Have you heard Chris Board's name this season?
No.
Nope.
I didn't even know if he was
Special
on the field.
teams is irrelevant now.
Yeah.
Because it's either the kicker kicks it out of the back of the end zone, or the punt is fair caught.
Yeah, it's not
Like,
a part...
special teams is irrelevant in this day and age.
Mhm.
And the fact that Belichick still wants to commit money and resources to special teams overall is insane.
Mhm.
And then to still have them be 32nd in the league.
Mhm.
It's mind-numbing.
A take I've really thought about this week that is really sticking with me is the fact that, yeah, Belichick was the greatest coach of the 2000s and the 2010s. It doesn't make him the greatest coach of the 2020s. The NFL game has completely changed, like you said, with the special teams, the new rules. They're trying to improve safety, trying to disinterest people from taking out kicks in the first place. And yeah, both of those things can be correct. It's not, I hate that people are like washing away everything Bill Belichick did for this franchise. He won us 6 Super Bowls. There was no way a mindless, like, dumb motherfucker who knows nothing about football wins you 6 Super Bowls. Everyone's like acting like Belichick is like the worst coach of all time and that Brady was everything. That is not true. I watched Belichick absolutely destroy one of the best offenses of the decade in the LA Rams in that Super Bowl, where Brady got absolutely nothing going against that defense and they still won the game. He won us that Super Bowl. We got to give him credit, but we also got to be able to sit back, look at what has happened in the 2020s and be like, okay, he doesn't know how to coach football right now. He doesn't know how to run a modern offense. He doesn't know how to use motion to manipulate an offense. He doesn't know how to scheme against these high-powered offenses anymore. And yeah, he doesn't have the players for it either.
But that's his fault.
And that's his fault because he's the GM. So where I was going to go with this, I have heard people saying that they want to, relinquish the GM rights for Belichick, give them to someone else, and continue to let him coach. Would you like him to continue to coach this team but not be the GM next year?
No.
I 100% agree with that. Why do you say that?
He won't be able to coexist with a new GM. Like, from going with all that power to then having someone else pick his players for him, it'll never work.
No.
It will never work. And it'll be more dysfunction than we're already seeing. And, Bill's going to go out there and play the guy that he thinks should get the position, even though, because he didn't want him to be signed, and he'll sit someone, and it won't work. It has to be all or nothing.
I 100% agree with that. I think that, again, we're not going to fire him. Just after this year, hey, we're going to relinquish you from your duties. We thank you so much. We're putting you in the Hall of Fame. We're going to fucking make a statue out of
you and Brady. You'll be standing there right in front of the big lighthouse.
But it's time for you to go. And I personally, everyone's talking about Gerard Mayo as the guy to step up as the head coach next year. People are talking about maybe Bill O'Brien was promised a head coaching spot if he was to come and be the offensive coordinator for a year. I don't like either of those switches because I believe that you take Belichick off this team, it's still it's still what he built. It's still all the dysfunction he built. Gerard Mayo runs the defense like Belichick wants him to run it. Bill O'Brien runs the offense like he wants him to run it. If we don't go in and clean house and literally clean the entire house, get a new GM, new coordinators, new head coach, it's just not going to work, I don't think. So we need to absolutely clean house. I'm 100% on that.
And one quick thing before we move on, but the league is moving in an offensive direction.
Yes.
So having an offensive head coach, I think, is important.
You saw with Miami. Miami's number one pass offense, number one rush offense, and look at them. The team everybody's talking about right now, the team that put up 70 points.
And it's not the Bill O'Brien offense. It's the new modern McVay, Shanahan offense.
Yes.
So grab someone from that tree.
If we have to pull whoever, I don't know who the offensive coordinator in Miami is, but he's definitely getting a head coaching spot. I don't know if the Giants are going to be done with Dable after this year because of the disappointing year they had. He has some ties to New England. He has some ties to Belichick. Maybe Belichick gives us a little bit of a little treat on the way out the door. I would love Brian Dable as our head coach. He's a guy who can lead men. He knows how to run an modern offense. And it's not going well right now because he has the worst offensive line in the league. And I hope the Giants are dumb enough to let him go because I feel like we could swoop up and that'd be a great, start off to the new generation of Patriots.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. I have a couple more quick questions about the Patriots for you before we segue into Celtics stuff. But Belichick claims that Jacoby Myers was a top priority in free agency this year. Jacoby Myers ended up signing a smaller contract than Juju Smith-Schuster this offseason, and Juju Smith-Schuster was signed the day after Jacoby Myers signed in Las Vegas. Myers ended up tweeting right after that, "Cold world," because of the way that the Patriots handled it. So, one, do you believe that Jacoby Myers was a top priority for Belichick? And two, how pissed off are you that Jacoby Myers right now has 274 yards and 3 touchdowns, while Juju Smith-Schuster has 14 catches for 86 yards and no touchdowns?
I think that there is a snippet of truth to what Belichick is saying, but only because being a priority probably means that he lowballed him with a terrible offer, but in Bill's opinion, that's what the player was worth, and then goes out and signs Juju. So I think, maybe they were in on the guy still, but nowhere close to the value of what the player actually is.
Yeah.
And it has completely blown up in their faces. Watching Monday Night Football last night, Jacoby Myers is leaps and bounds better than any wide receiver on this team.
It's because he has one of the 3 main intangibles you need to be a starting caliber receiver in this league. He is a guy that can read defenses and find the soft spots in the zone, get you first downs. Who is that guy that for us right now? Hunter Henry? Yeah, okay. He's a good security blanket for Mac, has good hands. Mac's been able to fit in those tight windows to him on those, those dig routes that he runs, those 10-yard digs that he likes. And that looks really efficient for our offense, but we don't have a guy on the outside that can win it all. And we have Pop Douglas, who gets 25% of the snaps every single week. Clearly, there's something there with Pop that he's not doing right. I don't want to go out and say, Belichick's just, gatekeeping him, or Bill O'Brien's gatekeeping him. He might go out there and just, not run the routes that they're telling him to. He might not block well. He might not.
Well, now he's hurt, too.
And now he's hurt, and there's no pop on the outside.
No.
There's no pop, no pun intended. And it's just...
Would you know that Devontae Parker played on Sunday?
Nope.
He's invisible. He's invisible. Juju's invisible. Kendrick Bourne, for the most part, has been invisible because I think teams are he's the only one that can really get open. So
Devontae Parker's never been a good receiver. The only thing he's good at is saving quarterbacks from throwing interceptions. Because the only time
he's not even good at that.
He's
literally
he
literally isn't even good at that.
But back in his day when he was good, the only highlights you'd see is him mossing a defender where the quarterback probably shouldn't have been throwing the ball there, but he comes down with a jump catch. He doesn't do that anymore, along with the fact he has some of the worst separation stats in the league. This offense is just horrendous. The line is horrendous. The running game's horrendous. There's not one thing you can just be like, oh, they just commit to this part of the game. Like, the past couple of years, they commit to the run. That game against Buffalo when Mac went in and beat the Bills in the snow tundra. And we were like, damn, that run game, it looked solid.
Yeah.
It looked like solid. We only threw 3 passes. We win the game. Everyone was, so happy about that. And we haven't had a single moment this year where we can look and be like, you know what? That looked really good, other than the defense at some points against Zach Wilson.
I heard people were speculating that maybe this week the Patriots, Bill Belichick, takes the ball out of Mac's hands and they run it every play.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the offensive line is horrible, that it's going to be a punishment for Mac, that they're just going to run the ball every down.
And it's like, are we like a high school football team? Did Mac did he fuck Belichick's daughter? Belichick doesn't even have a daughter,
no.
And he's like, did he do something to someone in the coaching staff where they just hate him so much? I know it stems back from that game in Arizona last year where he's screaming at Matt Patricia, and although Matt Patricia deserved all of that, I bet you Belichick looked at Mac in that moment and was like, I'm done. This is it. This offseason, I'm going to make sure I change that. And Kraft comes in and he's like, whoa. I've committed lots of money to this first-round quarterback. You're going to give him another chance with a guy who knows how to run an offense. We've seen it. Doesn't work. Let's give the ball to Greer. After this horrible week against the Raiders, I think that which is what we should be expecting. Every week I'm trying to be so optimistic and be like, oh, the Raiders are, the Raiders are coming in. We're probably
They're better than us.
Yeah, they're better than us. And the coach there, our old offensive coordinator, is doing a way better coaching job than Belichick right now. One of the worst, and everyone's calling for him to get fired.
Yeah.
And he's doing better. He's 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
So, this week I hope they come in and. Well, are we going? Is it in Vegas? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope we go into Vegas and get our fucking ass handed to us, and we just get beat down. And McDaniel's
good luck
on the sideline.
Blocking Max Crosby this week.
Well, good luck blocking Max Crosby. Good luck covering Devontae Adams with Sean Wade and Miles Bryant. Oh my God, we better have triple teams on that man at all times.
I hope that this week Jacoby Myers scores a touchdown and gives Bill the finger.
Yeah. You know what, Jacoby Myers. Average Boston Sports is rooting for you this week.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Jacoby Myers to have 3 touchdowns.
Oh yeah, I want 4.
Let's go 4.
Yeah. Quick little segment. Last thing I'm going to ask you. There are draft options for quarterbacks upcoming. They're expecting about 5 first-round quarterbacks, maybe 6 if Shedeur actually decides to go into the draft. The Patriots obviously don't have a team fit to take in a quarterback and be able to contend next year. That is not in the question. And so I'm going to ask you this question right here. Would you be more comfortable bringing in a veteran quarterback?
So I'm going to go with a combination of both.
Okay.
I think that they should sign someone in the offseason. My ideal fit would be Kirk Cousins. Okay. I don't want to trade for him in season.
Just remember,
no sense.
That contract will be double what we're paying Mac right now. Because Kirk Cousins is going to make 30+ million. If Daniel Jones is getting $40 million, Kirk Cousins is going to get a 3-year deal for $90 million again.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe not Kirk.
Yeah.
But maybe another veteran quarterback.
So a lower level
level veteran. And then draft a guy. Not necessarily obviously if you get Caleb Williams.
If we have the option, yeah.
You are going to play him immediately.
And just saying, if Belichick gets that number 1 overall pick, he's not taking Caleb Williams.
No.
He's taking Tucker Buxton from
long snapper from Army
or UT San Antonio. We don't even trust Belichick to make the right decision on that draft pick.
But going with one of the Drake May or
some of the guys that might
JJ McCarthy, someone I know you don't like him, but one of those guys, and then sitting him behind the veteran, because you look, a lot of guys, Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, sat their first year and it helped a lot in their development rather than just throwing them in there, especially if the offense is still I'm gonna guess it's gonna look a lot like it does this year. Throwing another rookie quarterback into the talent that we have now, it's gonna ruin their development. So it's like, let them sit, let them grow into being an actual quarterback, and then put them in the position maybe 2 years down the line.
It's going to be a long couple of years for us Patriots fans.
Buckle in.
But at least we're not Cleveland. At least we're not,
Yet.
At least we're not, because we've turned from the city of champions into the city of mid. And we haven't won a championship since the Red Sox and the Patriots won back in 2018. And it's the longest stretch of our life. It's the longest stretch of our life. We gotta think in perspective of these other cities, and at least we got the Celtics coming up.
Yep.
So Celtics preseason started. We've got those 2 games to analyze. Anthony actually sat through the entire bench game versus the Knicks this Monday.
It's more exciting than the Patriots.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. We've been dying to watch something competitive over the last couple of weeks, so it's been good to have preseason basketball back. I want to hear your takes on, after watching the Celtics bench, having a pretty good game against the Knicks. Who shined for you? Who disappointed? And what are you looking for tonight against the 76ers?
Let me start off with a bold prediction.
Okay.
Mark this down.
All right, I'm marking it down.
Okay. Peyton Pritchard will be top 3 and 6th man of the year voting.
Wow. Okay.
Based on what I've seen, he has taken a jump.
It seems like he's comfortable.
He's more comfortable. He knows the spots that he wants to get to on the floor. In this Knicks game, he was the guy for the Celtics. The top 6 guys for the Celtics all sat. So Pritchard was the guy. And
it's fun to watch Pritchard kind of control the team. And in those games where the starters aren't playing, he manages the game very well. He can read defenses very well. He's effective pick and roll. And
he's improved as a spot-up jump shooter a lot.
Yeah.
And that's huge. That's going to be huge this year. Just because of the amount of attention that Porzingis, Tatum, Brown, Drew Holiday are all going to get when he's on the floor.
Yeah.
He's a great shooter, but defenses are going to be putting all their attention on those guys. So being able to spot up and shoot, that's going to be huge. But I think he was awesome on Monday night. One other guy that I think is awesome, Svi Mikhailuk.
Okay. Svitoslav.
Svitoslav Mikhailuk.
He's a killer in NBA 2K.
He is. But he's one of those guys that I feel like the Celtics have been lacking. Even with someone like Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser has been a great shooter. But Svi, you can just tell by watching him out there, he has so much confidence and he understands where he wants to get the ball and how he wants to get the ball to shoot and score. Like, he knows the spots he wants to be. He had a great play with Cornette where he just tossed the ball to him, ran a screen around him, and then just pulled up from 3. Svi was awesome in that game.
It seems like he's the type of shooter, kind of like a JJ Redick, where it doesn't matter where he's catching the ball, where his body's positioned when he's catching the ball. It's like the same form every single time, shoulders square to the basket, and he just has all of the intangibles of being a very effective spot-up shooter, coming off of pin downs, coming off of and maybe elevator screens. We could start using that more with the available shooters we have. And
I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I think that he could play a role like Eddie House played in the 2008 team.
Okay. And that,
coming off the bench and just knocking down shots.
And no one's really expecting much from Svitoslav. It was like, I don't even know if a lot of Celtics fans knew that we had him on the team. And he was a baller at Kansas.
He was
a baller at Kansas, hasn't really had a lot of...
He played well at the end of last year's season with Charlotte.
And so I think the, his stint with Charlotte really showed that if he gets quality minutes, he can give you a good spot-up shooting option along with not the worst defense in the world.
No.
He's going to give effort. It comes back to, do these guys want to play basketball? That was my question with Kristaps Porzingis. It's my question with the Patriots. I hate, mixing sports, but this is really, it works well here because you got a whole Patriots team full of guys that don't want to play football. But now we got guys on the Celtics like Drew Holiday. We know he's committed to playing basketball. He has a very strict regimen, and along with other signings and other players that we still have, Al Horford. And my question with Kristaps and these new signings that we brought in, do they love basketball? Off of these interviews and first couple games, it looks like we got a fully committed team, and it's honestly pretty scary.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so you talked about, obviously, Svetoslav, and I didn't hear anything about Sam Hauser. And so I was expecting Sam Hauser to be in our 8-man rotation this year. Do you see Svetoslav kind of overtaking him in that 8-man rotation? Because that's like usually what teams run in the playoffs,
yes.
8 guys. So do you think he could step over Hauser? Is there something you saw in Hauser you didn't really like that you like more in Svetoslav?
I think Hauser struggled towards the end of last season with his jump shot.
Definitely.
And that has kind of carried over into this preseason, and I'm not going to... It's 2 preseason games.
Yeah.
I'm not going to overreact and say he can't shoot.
Remember when Carson Edwards was dropping 40 points per game in those preseason games, and I thought he was the next fucking Kyrie Irving for us? Like, yeah.
We've seen Hauser hit shots.
Yeah.
But I think if Mikhailuk continues to hit shots like he did the other night, it's going to put pressure on Hauser. And if Hauser's not hitting those shots... And Mikhailuk can take those minutes, but that's good.
Yes, it's good that we have those type of options. We're not relying on Sam Hauser to, like, if he's doing bad, we can always put Svi in.
Yeah.
And so it's good to have the interchangeability, but I would expect Hauser to have a better season than Svi. I'm really excited to see his defensive improvements because although the jump shots wasn't hitting at the end of last year, it seemed like his defensive awareness was getting a lot better. He wasn't, he's not a guy that's going to pick up on the perimeter and, lock down.
No.
But if he's a guy that can just jump passing lanes.
He's decent size.
Yeah, decent size. And be able to help and get back to your man. I feel like that was something that was really, because we are a switch everything, help everything type of defense. And if you have a guy on the floor that can't do that, it messes up the entire thing. So all 5 guys, if we're running that type of defense, need to be able to close out, need to be able to recover off of help. And I really haven't got a good look at Svi, but I would rather take the guy who maybe, it doesn't matter if they're shooting better or worse, I want the guy that's going to commit fully to defense. And I feel like that was our problem last year. That's where we lost our edge, the championship edge that we had. And I think that's going to be super essential for this team because we have shooters. We have so many shooters, especially in the starting lineup. And so we're not going to ask a guy to come off the bench and give us 5 threes. We're going to ask a guy to come off the bench and stand in the corner, stay open, stay ready, and play good defense.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see who's going to step up in that scenario.
One more guy I want to add, Lamar Stevens.
Okay, you were talking about him earlier. I was like, I didn't even know we had Lamar Stevens, but he looked
good
solid.
the other night. Yeah. And I think he's a great wing defender, and he crashes the glass pretty well for a wing, and I think that Grant Williams brought a lot of good things to the table last year, but he wasn't the most athletic guy.
No.
He kind of just found himself in that corner. I think Lamar Stevens and even O'Shea Brissett, they have a little bit more versatility on offense. They can get to the basket. They can push the ball, but then they can still knock down some threes. They didn't against the Knicks, but I think that'll come. What do you say?
Where Grant Williams, his expertise comes into play is his ability to be able to switch 1 through 5 and not really stress about him on a guard or stress about him on a taller forward. A center, can just really rise over him because he's 6'6". So that's his limit. That's his limit right there. Is the fact that he was too short. There was guys just jumping right over him. Bam Adebayo, he didn't have a good couple games in the beginning of that series, but slowly over time you saw him get confidence in that series. And Grant Williams was his primary defender most of the time. Him or Robert Williams, and he was just kind of doing right and left hook shots right over them. And so now we got Kristaps Porzingis, 7'3", Al Horford right at the power forward. If we're playing a team like that where we need to be big, he's 6'10", and I think we're going to have a lot more success on defense in the paint. Not because these guys are elite shot blockers, but because they know how to just contest a shot.
Yeah.
And Grant Williams, Maybe like defends well against like a 3, but I don't think he is all that great of a 4 defender or even a 5 defender. So losing him, yeah, it sucks, but I think there was a lot of limitations in having Grant Williams as your, defensive presence coming off the bench.
And I think sometimes the ego got in the way with him as well.
Because
like
that
first
big
2 games with Dallas, he's taken at least 7 threes.
Really? Damn.
So, I personally wouldn't want Grant Williams taking 7 threes in a game.
I mean, he won us that playoff series in Milwaukee, taking 21 in that game.
He did, yeah. But I don't think I want 7 threes a night out of him.
Yeah.
I'd rather have someone else take those.
Yeah, I agree.
And one more point I'd like to make, and I'd like to ask you this question.
Okay.
Do you think that Luke Cornett can provide the backup big minutes for this team?
See, I've been on the side of no. I love Luke Cornett. I love the Cornett contest. He's a good guy to have in the locker room. I think he's a guy that can come in maybe 20 to 25 games a year and provide good regular season minutes for when Al Horford needs a rest, when Kristaps Porzingis is, trying to rehab that foot injury that is pretty scary. Plantar fasciitis is no joke. I dealt with that my entire athletic career in high school, and I broke my foot 3 times because of it. It's an annoying, a nagging injury that if you don't have the right therapy going on, the right rehabilitation going on, that bone can pop at any moment.
Yeah.
And so I think that he could do that, but I can't trust him to be a guy to get 15 to 20 minutes every single game and be able to trust him because, one, he's not a great pick and roll defender. He'll get abused just like Ennis Freedom, Cantor, and he's kind of like on that level where you can't.
He has to drop.
You have to play drop coverage, and against teams like we saw with the 76ers in the first preseason game, we saw Kristaps Porzingis playing a lot of drop, which I hope isn't the answer to that defense. And Maxey was pulling up from 3 right over him, and he had 2 or 3 big shots right over him. If we're playing drop coverage, especially with Luke Cornett, who's about 3 or 4 inches shorter than Kristaps Porzingis, doesn't have that extended reach, then I'm going to be a little nervous about that.
And I think for someone his size, I don't think Cornett is a good enough rebounder.
No.
He loses out a lot, especially defensive rebounding. And I think this team needs someone like, I'm not sure an exact guy, but someone with a high... I know we've talked about guys before, like Montrezl Harrell, high motor. But, someone that is just going to rebound. They don't have to do too much.
No.
Just the little things. Contest shots.
Like Tristan Thompson 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like obviously not right now. He cannot guard anybody. You can't trust him to guard anybody right now. But a guy like Tristan Thompson for the Cavs when they won is just he's selfless. He's not going to look for his shots. He's going to play his role. And role players can have star-like moments, and Tristan Thompson got paid because of those star-like moments. We need a guy who is striving for a new contract, maybe a guy who's been exiled from the league for a bit, maybe go overseas and look for the new Daniel Tice, because we brought Daniel Tice over after his Defensive Player of the Year winning in the German league, and he was very solid for us. Not a lot of casual Celtics fans appreciated what Daniel Tice did for this team, but you bring in a guy like that,
even a guy like Harry Giles.
Yeah, a guy who's just trying to, earn his way into the NBA, find his spot in the NBA. And if he isn't all ego and still thinking about when he was number 1 ranked in high school, yeah, bring him in. But I don't want a guy in here that's coming in just trying to put up shots, trying to score to get that contract. No, I want you fighting. I want you punching people in the face. I want you boxing out. I want
you the palace in here.
We need somebody like that because I feel like this team is a tiny tad bit soft. And so you bring in a center who's just like, I'm the best rebounder on this court right now. I'm gonna grab I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna shove.
Bismack Biyombo.
Yeah, a Bismack Biyombo would be perfect for this team. I don't know where his physical condition is right now. Because with all these guys that haven't, gotten a lot of playing time in the NBA for the past few years, you don't know what you're getting. But because it's too hard to go watch overseas, go watch the Taiwan League, go watch the...
It's too much sports.
It's too much sports. I want Brad Stevens. I trust Brad Stevens. Unlike Belichick, I trust Brad Stevens to bring in a high motor guy who's going to be good. I don't care what his name is. I don't care if it's Dwight Howard. I don't care if it's Joe Smith from freaking Latvia. Just bring in somebody who's going to wreak some havoc in the paint, fight for some rebounds, and just provide a good spark off the bench. I don't think Luke Cornett can do that for you.
And let me just say though, I don't think Luke Cornett is the long-term answer this season. But I think he will start the season as the backup big, and people should not freak out because remember last season Noah Vonleh was the backup big to start the season, and he was shipped out immediately within the first 2 months. So just because he's going to make the opening night roster and is going to get minutes on opening night and the first couple of weeks doesn't mean that when the playoffs come, he's going to be the backup big.
No, I trust Brad Stevens to be able to analyze this roster, give it a couple months, and
give him a shot. Give him a shot
because Cornett, you've done enough in the locker room, done enough to gain fan recognition. You've done enough to get you're not a quality shooter, but a serviceable shooter.
Yeah.
As for a big man, something that like he could go in and kind of play that Porzingis role as like kind of a decoy instead of like we don't want him going out there and putting up the shots that Porzingis was obviously, but if he plays that role and allows the other people to make plays off of whatever offense we're running through that, like with a shooting big man, that will be fine because they have to respect Cornett's jump shot.
And he's a good lob threat.
Yeah.
So when on the pick and rolls, rolling to the basket, him and Pritchard have had good chemistry so far this preseason. So
yeah, and I want to see the celebrations too. Like I want to give him a shot because I enjoy watching Cornett. Yeah, it's like the little goggles. Yeah. I he's fun to watch. He's a guy that I am rooting for, and so give him a shot. If it doesn't work out, he's your backup if Porzingis or Horford get hurt. That's what scares me. Like you can't trot out Cornett in a starting lineup ever.
No,
ever.
But they wouldn't. It would be. They would play small.
Yeah, they would have to play small.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we can win playing small this year because it seems like the teams that are going to be either in the finals from the West, like a team like the Nuggets, obviously with Jokic, a team like the Lakers with Anthony Davis.
Even the Suns with Nurkic?
Even the Suns with Nurkic. Nurkic would destroy us offensively. Obviously, Mazzulla would be able to manipulate pick and roll to, kind of get Jalen and Jason onto Nurkic and maybe even Drew Holiday, Derek White, all capable drivers. I think there's a lot of upside to going smaller against those type of lineups, but we're just going to get fully beat up in the paint.
Look at the East. Brook Lopez and Giannis for the Bucks. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley for the Cavs.
Yes. But Bam Adebayo down in Miami.
Yeah.
We got obviously Giannis and you already said that. We got Embiid for the Sixers, and if they trade away James Harden and even find a guy like Derek White, I know that they're not going to trade James Harden and get a star in return now. He is not at that point in his career where he is worth a star caliber player. But if you bring in, a couple of guys, maybe, Houston ends up doing the deal and Houston ends up wanting James Harden down there and they get I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like a Tari Eason and a couple guys with some upside that could potentially grow. I think that team could be very, very scary to play in the playoffs. A Sixers team that has no expectations is different than the Sixers teams we've been seeing in the playoffs who are supposed to, beat us and supposed to, because everyone was picking the Sixers to win that series last year. They didn't think we had an answer for Embiid, and we definitely did because Embiid did not have a great series. So
even if it's like the Clippers and it's like Marcus Morris, Plumlee, and Bones Highland.
Yeah.
Like couple role players,
Yeah. And so we need to see a good chunk, maybe 15, 20 games before we really decide what this team needs. But right now, you can't be mad. You can't be mad about any of the moves.
Enjoy it.
You enjoy
This is good this is in Boston right now. This is like the one good team that we can enjoy watching and have fun.
Yeah, and
so don't stress.
And I'm not the biggest Bruins fan. I'm not a big hockey guy, but it seems like we've lost a lot of star veterans that have been on the team for years. Bergeron's gone. I believe Krejci's gone as well.
Yeah.
And so is Marchand still there?
He's there.
Yeah, but. See, we're losing a couple guys there. The Red Sox, they don't have a name that you could...
We don't talk about them.
We don't talk about the Red Sox. I mean, it's just a shit show there. Patriots, we shit on them for 30 minutes before this. We need to be happy.
It's gonna get worse.
Be happy about what we got here in Boston. It's preseason. Season hasn't even started yet, and we got people saying, "Oh, I don't know if they're capable of,
If you're stressed about the backup big, that's a good concern to have.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get
If that's
at.
the biggest worry, you're going to be all right.
Last thing I want to ask you. So, we have a preseason game against the Sixers tonight. We do not know if the starters are playing yet. We know the Sixers starters aren't, so that could mean something. If the bench players are to play or the starters are to play, what are you looking for tonight to, further increase your positivity and your confidence in this team?
Mm-hmm. If the starters do play, I want to see them create a offensive identity. I want to see if I can start finding that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think there was a lot in that first game. I think it was more of not that I think there should have been, but I think it was more of let's just get the guys out, play some basketball, take some shots, knock the rust off.
Yeah.
But I'd like to start seeing how they're going to incorporate Porzingis, how Tatum and Brown are going to play off of each other. Drew Holiday and Derek White on the floor at the same time. How does that look? And then on the flip side, if the bench goes in, again, I'd like to see guys like Svi Mikhailuk, Lamar Stevens. Can they keep doing what they've been doing to try and get themselves real rotation minutes once the season starts?
Yeah, and I fully agree with that. I want to see who wins the battle for the defensive presence for a forward on this team, because O'Shea Brissett and Lamar Stevens are both really vying for that top role in the bench for the forwards. Or just secondary to Hauser, because it doesn't seem like we're gonna play big at all from the bench.
No.
It's gonna be small ball off the bench.
Shooting.
And yeah, exactly. And so is Lamar Stevens or O'Shea Brissett gonna be a more reliable shooter? Who's gonna, provide the hustle plays more for this team? Losing Marcus Smart, you're gonna have to have somebody fill in for that. So there's a lot of things to be looking for tonight from the bench. If the starters play again, I want to see the offense run through Porzingis again. We saw it against the Sixers, and Porzingis looked amazing in that game. Coming off pin downs, the little jab fake drive and dropped the guy to the fucking ground. Kristaps Porzingis dropped you to the fucking ground. Like, oh my god, if he's doing that every game, there is no question this Celtics team is going to be the favorite going into this playoff run. And one last thing I want to see tonight, definitely, I want to see Drew Holiday have the ball in his hands and provide open shots for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Set up.
Distribute. I want to see Drew Holiday's points more towards the lower 10s, maybe even higher single digits. But if he's giving you 8 or 9 assists a game, and his low turnovers is maybe 2 or less, then that is going to be so helpful for the Celtics offense. I'm getting chills. Because, you see a video of Jaylen Brown trying to dribble with his left hand. Clearly, there's still some struggles there. Jason Tatum says this offseason he worked on playmaking, worked on all of that, but I don't want that to be fully in their hands yet. I want Drew Holiday to be able to provide, a lot more playmaking opportunities for them. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. And
one more quick thing.
Yeah.
Delano Banton.
I like him. He's long. He can switch everything. He gets to the basket. He's listed as a point guard.
He was playing point guard the other night. He looked good. He had about 20 points.
And how's his shooting? Do you know off the top of your head?
I think he hit 1 or 2 threes. Career-wise, I don't think he's the best shooter, but I think his jump shot looks improved.
Okay.
It looks more fluid this year. But he can get to the basket, and that's being able to get downhill to the basket off the bench. That could be huge. I think he could be. He said he's modeled his game kind of after Sean Livingston.
Okay.
And that's...
Sean
Livingston was a great player.
Yeah.
So.
And if, I feel like the mid-range, with the caliber of shooting we have on this team, the mid-range is going to be open.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have a guy that can, attack that mid-range spot, like I feel like Drew Holiday is going to be good for that. Kristaps Porzingis in the post is going to be good for that.
Derek White on floaters.
Yes,
yeah.
but if you have a guy coming off the bench that can also provide that, oh my God, there's just so many versatile options for this team.
I'm just excited. I want to watch this game tonight. I'm just excited. For whoever they roll out there, there's storylines that we can follow.
Exactly. And so I'm excited. I'm going to be getting some TikTok content out to you guys this week. I want to make a couple TikToks about the final decisions for the Celtics team. Who's going to get cut? Who's going to obviously step up in the rotation? What to expect early on during this season? There's obviously going to be a lot of rough patches for this team. There's going to be a lot of good spots for this team, and I feel like the first 20 games is a good view of what this Celtics team's eventually going to turn into, and it'll give us another, obviously, the ability to look at it and be like, okay, do we need to get another big man? Do we need to get another guard? Do we need, is Peyton Pritchard getting abused on defense too much? Do we need to ship him out for more of a defensive-minded guy to come off the bench, although that you're huge on him and you want him to be in that 6 man of the year run?
Yes.
And so a lot of things could happen this year, a lot of switches, but we just got to be along for the ride. And so thank you guys for watching. Again, that content's coming out. This